morning. Let us continue the same chapter, that is semiconductors, and in that also the special purpose diodes. Last time we have seen two special purpose diodes. One was photodiode and second was xenodiode. Okay. Now let us see the remaining two important but very special purpose diodes which are used in the daily life in all the places. Okay. The first very important special purpose diode over here which we will see today is LED, that is light emitting diode. Okay. It's a diode which is heavily doped and it is operated in the forward bias. Okay. Now see here what happens. If suppose a diode is heavily doped and when it is operated in forward bias, then the electrons from the N type will cross the junction and reach to the P type, and here they combine with the holes. So this recombination of the hole and electron is the source of the energy which is emitted in the form of the light by the diode. Now let us try to understand what happens. Okay. See here, if you remember last time we have seen about the acceptor energy level and donor energy level. Okay. So if you remember, then that time when I was explaining, I explained that this is very important. We will see in the next class. Suppose here there is a conduction band. Okay. So the donor energy level is just below the conduction band. Okay. And here there is a valence band. So your acceptor energy level is just above the valence band. So here are the holes present, okay, and here are the electrons present. Okay, when the LED, that is the light emitting diode, will be operated in the forward bias which is heavily doped, then a very large number of the electrons will cross the junction and enter into the P type, and here they recombine with the holes. So when the electrons come and recombine with the holes, then the electron goes from this donor energy level to acceptor energy level, that is over here, acceptor energy level. Then in this process the energy which is equal to the difference of the energy between the two energy levels will be given out in the form of radiations. Okay, these radiations or maybe of different types, maybe they are infrared radiation, or they may sometimes they are also the radiations which are falling in the visible spectrum. Okay, visible spectrum, you all know about VPR. They may be falling in the region of the violet light or indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange or red. Okay, anywhere. Okay, in fact what happens, depending upon the demand, we can manufacture the diodes which will give us the desired quantity of the energy and hence a desired radiations. Okay, for example, here we use a special semiconducting material which is the combination of this gallium and arsenic. Okay, this gallium and arsenic has the energy gap which is less than 1.9 electron volt. Okay, this is the semiconducting diode or the semiconductor or the LED which is used to produce the infrared radiations. Okay, it is used for the IR radiations. Okay, so here what happens, see, whatever the energy gap will be there between the donor energy level and the acceptor energy level, that much amount of energy will be given out in the form of radiations. These radiations may be falling in the visible spectrum or maybe in the infrared spectrum. So depending upon whatever the amount of energy is given out, the LEDs are used for the different purposes. But we must remember that whatever the energy is given out, that energy is always less than the forbidden energy gap, because the donor energy level is just below the conduction band and the acceptor energy level is just above the valence band. Because of this reason, whatever the energy will be given out, that will always be less than the forbidden energy gap. Okay, now this uses of LEDs. LEDs are used in the display, okay, in the calculators and in the other displays. You must have seen a 7-segment display like this, which is used in the digital watches or calculator. It is made up of LEDs, and there are other displays also, and sometimes these are also used in the burglar alarm In case of the burglar alarm, we use the light emitting diode which emit the radiations in the infrared spectrum and or infrared range, and they are also used in the very advanced devices like the LED TVs or etc. Okay, now the advantages of this light emitting diodes, they have many advantages. For example, they are very small in size, their operational voltage is very small, they have very long life, and they do not take the time to warm up. Okay, and because of this reason, nowadays the LEDs are replacing the traditional lamps very fast, very readily. Okay. The last but most important type of the special purpose diode is solar cell. Okay, a solar cell is a device which converts the solar energy directly into electrical energy, and you all know that nowadays, as solar cell is very it's a renewable source of energy and it has very low maintenance. Okay, and it can be used in the remote areas also. That's why it is becoming very famous among the people. Okay, now let us see what is a solar cell and how does it work. A solar cell is a PN junction diode. Then it has two layers. Okay, then of P type and N type semiconductor. But here the thickness of the N type is very small. It is 0.3 micrometer. The N type is having a thickness of 0.3 micrometer. On the other hand, P type has a thickness of 3 micrometer. Okay, now just imagine, micrometer is 1,000th part of a millimeter. Okay, so already this is very small, but if you look at the N type semiconductor, that is 1,000 times smaller than P type. Okay, it is made in such a way that, or the purpose of keeping the N type very thin is that the light should be able to reach the junction. Whatever the light falls on the N type from the top should be able to reach to the junction. Okay, and for this purpose, the N type, okay, semiconductor, it is connected with the grid, okay, which is called as the front contact. Okay, here front contact is a metallic grid which covers only 15% area of the N type semiconductor, and 85% area is left open for the light to fall on it. Okay, sometimes it is also called as the finger electrode because it has the shape like our fingers. That's why it is called as the finger electrode. The function of the finger electrode is whatever the electrons will come in N type, it will be collected by the front contact or the finger electrode. Okay, and it is spread over the large area so that it can collect the electrons from all over the N type semiconductor on the top of the solar cell. On the other hand, at the bottom we have a P type semiconductor which is 1,000 times thicker than the N type semiconductor, and it is fully covered with a back contact which is a metallic contact, and it covers the full surface of the P type at the bottom because no light is going to fall from there. That's why we don't have any issue. Okay, now when the light falls on the N type semiconductor, because of being very thin, the light is able to reach the junction very easily. Okay, when the light reaches this junction, then at the junction in the depletion layer, three processes happen one by one. First is the generation of the electron hole pair. So first of all, when the light will strike the atoms at the junction, then a electron hole pair will be generated. When this electron hole pair is generated, then because of the depletion layer, the electrons are pushed to the N type semiconductor, that is towards the top of the solar cell, and the holes are pushed towards the P type, that is towards the bottom of the solar cell. Then after the generation, they will be separated by the depletion layer, and then depletion layer can separate the electrons and holes because of the barrier potential over here. Okay, and then after that, collection of the electrons and holes. Whatever the electrons come in the N type semiconductor, they are collected by the grid or the front contact or the finger contact, and whatever the hole reach the P type semiconductor, they are collected by the back contact. And in this way, very large number of the electrons will be collected at the top by the front contact, and very large number of the holes will be collected at the bottom by the back contact. And because of the accumulation of the large amount of charges at the front contact and the back contact, a large potential difference is developed between the two electrodes. When the external load is connected between the two electrodes, current start to flow through them, and in this way the solar cell converts the solar energy into the electrical energy. Okay. The IV characteristics of the solar cell is shown in the figure. Then it is in the fourth quadrant. Reason for being in the fourth quadrant is that this solar cell does not draw any current, but it supplies the current. That's why it is taken as negative. And hence, what I've done, the graph of the potential versus the current is taken in the third graph. This graph represents the IV characteristics of the solar cell. Okay, here the chapter is over. We'll stop here, and tomorrow I will be sending a PDF from where we can you can calculate the so you can copy the notes in the notebook. Okay, thank you very much.